Welcome to I Support Your Business show with your host and host Mithil, a pod made exclusively to share the journey of our fellow community members of I Support Your Business Indo-Canadian community to the world. The main aim of our community is to practice the power of giving, facilitate collaborations and partnerships, and help connect people on a global platform. As your host, being the president of the community currently, as well as the founder and chief content alchemist of ISYB Content Lab, I help solopreneurs, artists, and coaches build their business online organically through content marketing. Today, we have a wonderful member from our community. Let's welcome onto the platform none other than Susman.
Hi
Hi,
Mithil.
Susman.
Hi Mithil, how are you?
I'm doing super cool. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me here. And I really look forward to discussing with you.
Same here. Same here. So, Sushman, can you share with us your childhood journey, please?
Mithil, regarding my childhood, I was born and brought up in Patna. Um it's, long back. I did my schooling, everything from Patna, and it was in the state that basically Patna was at that time going through a lot of turbulence, both in the state of political as well as social security. So, coming from a family of doctors, we had everything we needed probably. But yes, when you're growing up in a state, there's a lot more than the support. You need a lot of exposure to the outside world, what is going on, how it's shaping up. And when the world was rapidly changing, Patna was still, or Bihar was still stuck at certain phases. But still, the problems that we had seen in that state is something that helped us adapt or build solutions in the long run, which is applicable now globally. So that was one thing. I had a very good childhood, I would say. By the grace of God, I was blessed to have been born in that family, uh, where we had education, we had food, we had every basic amenity that we should have for the proper human growth. And at the same time, we had the ability to think for the community, because as I said, I was coming from a community of doctors. We had, and my grandfather also was one of the civil servants in the state. So we had always seen how giving to community has been an essential part of your. It's not just that we have to focus on something that builds your career, but also how you, whatever you are doing in life, is helping the community that you are growing up. So that was deeply ingrained and embedded in our system. I completed my schooling and everything from Patna. I went on to pursue my engineering. After that, I worked with a couple of MNCs. I did my MBA also. But that value system that was ingrained, that you have to give back to the community, always kept pulling me back into, and that was the reason I eventually came back to entrepreneurship. So that is how my childhood helped me get to where I am today. So
Got
yeah.
it. Got it. So, Sushman, when and how did your professional journey started?
So profession, it started in year 2010 when I completed my engineering. I joined Oracle as a solutions associate. We started working on enterprise applications at that time. At that in year 2010, the world had changed, but it was fairly simple in the sense that there were still departments or verticals, business verticals as we call them. Like there was operations which was operating in one silo, finance. Though there is interaction, but there used to be ERPs which were catering to them. But over time, in my tenure with Oracle also, we saw a lot of change happening with service oriented architecture coming in, integration applications coming in. So we started building applications which were deeply integrated, and that is when my understanding of, like, my urge to understand business better and how different departments, verticals talk to communicate with each other for the seamless flow of business and uninterrupted flow helped me or motivated me to get into an MBA. So completed my MBA, pursued my MBA, completed it, and after that I started working with consulting with Cognizant for a short while before I joined HSBC in investment banking. I worked with HSBC for about 2 years in investment banking domain. I was primarily working with UK banking and corporates group. So there again, I saw, and this was in the year 2015 when I joined. This was an era where Brexit has been announced. This was an era when Trump had first come into power. So the world was seeing change across the globe. And HSBC was a global bank, specifically when we are looking at investment banking domain. The economies, markets are deeply related and associated with politics, and once the politics starts changing, it impacts. So because of Brexit, there were a lot of big clients which were looking to relocate out of the UK market. They were looking at probably Ireland as one of the offshores, suitable options. They were re-looking at Asia, and that is a huge boost for us, India, as well, in that sense. But there are lots of change happening, and that is when my curiosity started setting in how politics also impacts the entire market and geopolitical scenario affects your business across the globe. So but still, that 2 years was very challenging. It was, and it was very enriching also, because it does not only give me insight into finance and business, but also how different things affect businesses at a global level. It could not be and think it's only about the team, it's about the talent and the skill set, demand, supply, and everything. But there are so many other factors which are also contributing to a particular thing's success, is what we realize when we are working in that frame or in that structure. So that is what we observed. By the end of around 2017, I had got another offer where we were setting up a political, I mean, there was a political consulting firm being set up. We had got a mandate to work for BMC elections, which was primarily in the Bombay. We started working there, but over time our mandate grew larger. It expanded to Maharashtra, and eventually in 2019 elections we got to work in the pan India level. The company is still working in the political consulting domain, but those 2 years when I worked with, when we started working it, up until that point, I had exposure of technology, I had understanding of business, I had understanding of how globally things and factors affect business. But that is what my tenure with the political consulting firm based out of Maharashtra, when I got to travel the expanse of Maharashtra, I saw that Maharashtra, which is, I mean, it's allegedly one of the leading states in the country, with in regards not just for the per capita income, or even for the economic factors of growth which are based out of it's a financial capital. Bombay has been the financial capital for a long time. But the problems which I saw in the rest of the parts of the Maharashtra, which could be Wardha district, Gadchiroli district, in that there I could draw parallels to the state which I was coming up from, which is one of the poorest states. Allegedly, it is one of the poorest states in the country. So we saw that the problems which I had seen in the childhood, which I thought that it's something because of the state's problem, it's something which is globally, I mean, it's there in Maharashtra. I extrapolated it. It's not that it was. I'm assuming it will be the first world. It's not a first world problem, but I'm sure that it could be a third world problem. There could be countries in Latin America, or probably, or in Africa, which could have problems which would be similar to ours, where we are coming from, which could be basic access to healthcare, which could be basic access to um, education, which could be basic access to certain amenities which people need on a day-to-day level. So I mean that again, those 2 years when I worked, it gave you also an insight. Why is it that the government, despite such efficient government delivery schemes coming up, why are they not able to avail benefits of it? Where are the leakages in the entire system? So it's not that people or the governments, or not just government, there are so many non-government organizations also working towards upliftment of society at different strata. But why is it that they are not getting benefit out of it? Why is it not reaching there? That is something which our primary project was when we started political consulting. So we started analyzing what are the government schemes which Maharashtra government has, which people are supposed to be the primary beneficiaries of that. Why are they not able to avail it? If they are able to avail it, what are the challenges that they are facing? How better we can streamline the entire process? So this was a very interesting and a very enriching experience once again for those 2 years which I worked up until the election, definitely. But that also gave me the set me on the path that I have to start building something which does not just make it accessible to people, but also it should be affordable and easy for them to adapt. Like, irrespectively, just making things cheaper or making things accessible to people is not something that people would still was able to. I'll give you an example that Supposedly, there are primary health centers everywhere. There are doctors also which are assigned to that center, which are going there, and people know that this is a affordable clinic. The free of cost treatment is available there, but still whenever there is an emergency, they would prefer going to a private hospital than compared to a government hospital. The primary reason being that they do not have that faith and trust in that government infrastructure as compared to a private infrastructure. And a lot more things are coming into play. There is customer satisfaction which is playing, that people they want the best of the healthcare, no matter which economic strata they are coming from, but everybody wants the best of healthcare and best of education for their loved ones, their family, their kids. Everybody wants the best, so they work hard only to ensure that they can provide such basic amenities to their family. So keeping this in mind, I wanted to design something, build something in the long run which ensures that people have accessible to quality service. It should be affordable, and the affordability will come if we actually capitalize on the economies of scale, that we start building something which I can deliver to people at large. So once you deliver it to as many people, that will give you a leverage, that will give you an advantage of the economies of scale. You'll be able to keep the costs under control, and that is how we start working on that. And the third most important part was that you have ensured that it's accessible, you have ensured that it's affordable, but how do you ensure that people start using it? So you have to also embed that entire awareness campaign, education campaign, where people understand why they need it, how they can take advantage of it, and it make it as easy as possible for them to just, and that I mean, start using it, start adapting it into their daily life. And that is how it gave birth to our current venture, Casamet, where we are.
Lovely. So, I think you have shared when did you turn into an entrepreneur. Would like to know the story behind naming your brand Casamet.
So yeah, I mean, that's again a part of what I was just saying, Mithil, that we wanted something which is accessible to people. I said ki there could be pockets in the entire country or globe that where people are uh, living at a certain place. Like I would say, in the hilly areas of northeastern part of India, northern Himalayan region, there are also a lot of primary healthcare centers, community health centers. There are lots of private hospitals also coming up, but people being able to reach to these hospitals in time is something that is still something which is debatable. There are certain places which is still out of the reach of the people. We call them remote locations, where the penetration of health and education has not been to the level that we are expecting. And not just about the hilly regions, there are even plains. If you look about in Chhattisgarh, there are certain sections, certain areas where it is unreachable. In Jharkhand, I know there are places where the delivery system for healthcare and education is still a problem, that even the communities are, and that is the part of the aspirational district projects which has also started coming up to ensure that, I mean, it's under the government scheme, they are trying to deliver such services to these districts. So keeping that in mind, I wanted to build something which people can avail. And this is not just from the lower economic strata or the India, which is these days being referred to as Bharat also, where people don't have access to basic things, but also the metropolitan India, where you see the uptrend of hyper local, where people expect things coming up in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, delivered at their home. The reason being that because of traffic, they are finding difficult to reach to the places they want. Traveling for work itself is taking a toll on their basic lifestyle. Then coming back and then expecting them to again fill up the rest of the responsibilities, it is becoming tiresome. So keeping these things in mind, that we can build services and solutions which people can avail easily from the comfort of their home. It is as I said, it's a very important aspect that they adapt to it. So keeping that at the core of nature, we wanted to build a healthcare specific platform, and that is why the name Casa Med come from, where Casa means home, and Med is something from the medical services related. So that is how Casa Med was born.
Nice. So, Sushman, can you, if I take you back to the memory lane, can you share the initial days of handling your business in Casamet?
Yeah. So, Mithil, I mean, handling so entrepreneurship, having an exposure, understanding into the venture into the domain of business was something that I had some of these values coming from the my corporate experiences also. I had worked with various clients in HSBC as well to get a sense of that. I was a business consultant in Cognizant, so I had a little bit of business understanding. With political, when I was a political consultant, that time we were running a large scale campaigns. So operationally also there was a lot of involvement. You work on different campaigns and projects, so that gives you a good insight. So basics of business was something that is okay, but when you're setting up something of yourself, the problem statement that you go out into the market with is what we come from the bubble that we had an understanding of that problem. Then we have to take that problem to the market. We talk to people, seek their inputs, and try to validate what our understanding is that actually a problem, or is there something else associated with it? So when I also started my business, more from the business point of view, that setting up a business and everything, that is something that, since because of my experience, that was the easier part for me to set up a business. But building a business is building a solution for the problem which I thought, like, as I told you, the problem which largely people think is healthcare accessibility is poor in our country. It's inaffordable. As I said, people, no matter what economic strata they come from, they are willing to spend money for the health good health of their loved ones. So affordability, even if it's a problem, they are people who are willing to pay for that. I'm not saying that it's everybody is going to, but they have certain solutions available for each of us, because they are public healthcare also, private also. They are NGO sponsored health community centers also operating. There are Tata hospitals, there are trust based hospitals. There's so many institutions who are working in this sector. So everybody has something of that sort. So when we looked at the problem, that we had thought that healthcare is inaccessible, unaffordable, was not the actual problem. Problem was that people were seeing doctors. So what our problem statement, that what Casamet primarily started with, was focusing on pain management. Pain management being chronic pain, acute pain, or sports related injuries. Now chronic pain is something wherein you would have seen patients suffer with knee pain, osteoarthritis pain, because of long I mean, after 40, 45, generally women, even after postmenopause, or because of calcium nutritional deficiency, they start experiencing. There are postural related back pains which people are experiencing these days. That could be because of prolonged repetitive exercise movements, or same sedentary lifestyle. That could be one of the reasons. So there are multiple factors because of which chronic pain sets up, and chronic pain is typically a pain which has been longer than 3 months, 4 months, and they persist for a longer duration. So it's not that the patients who are suffering with chronic pain, they haven't seen doctors, they would have consulted doctors. Doctors would have given them painkillers. They advise them to undergo physiotherapy. They do all that for a certain day. They take painkiller, pain subsides. They go for physiotherapy for 2 to 3 days, get back to their routine, because the problem is not that they don't have access. The problem is that they find it difficult to continue with the treatment with the rest of the life that they are dealing with. The priority is to work. The priority is your family. Your health takes a backseat because of that. So you know that probably a 10-minute routine every morning will help me uh, relieve my pain in the long run. But we fail to do that because it's not a part of my behavior. It's not a part of my daily regime. So what we had in mind is that we have to build something wherein the entire solution, everything is designed, and people gradually adapt it into their daily lifestyle. So with that, we started designing treatment plans. We started designing entire chronic care coverage plans. When people started from a moment where they start from a problem where they had seen doctors, and they have to now adhere to the treatment. So the problem that we had started was affordability, availability. More than that, the relevant problem that we dug down and then find this exact problem to be that it's more about adherence to a particular treatment than just accessing a doctor or somebody, a medical expert who is telling you to follow the treatment. So that is what I learned in the early stages when I started the business, that the problem statement that I came into this entire uh, domain with, that I want to solve this problem, that is not actually the problem. It is a problem in the long run, but it is a problem that you cannot solve overnight. You cannot start building hospitals in probably every I would say not even district. You would be needing in every locality, every mohalla in the country, you need to have a healthcare setup, and that is not possible for anybody to just do it overnight. It is a process, it will take time. So, and while we are building for it, your solutions have to be designed keeping that as a long term objective. What is the more important or more detailed problem which people are finding difficult to deal with? So that adherence was something that was identified as a much larger problem, that despite people availing treatment, they are not able to adhere to that treatment. So how do you help them adhere to that treatment so that the pains which could have been easily dealt with do not become chronic pain, they do not relapse, they do not recur and keep affecting people in the long run? So that is how, that was one of the most important learnings in my early stage, to understand, just get out of the bubble that you are coming in with and start listening to people you are going to working for.
Got it. So, Sushman, since you are an entrepreneur, can you share what are the five things, as per you, every entrepreneur must have?
See, first thing that I clearly believe that an entrepreneur should have is patience. That you have to be patient. If things are not showing up the way you are expecting it to be, there might be moments that uh, uh, we execute a certain plan expecting it to turn out a way it doesn't happen. You have to be patient. You have to be patient to get people used to what you are building. You have to be patient to let your team understand what your vision is or and adapt it. So patience is a virtue which is very much needed, and it's often said that you have to find success, you have to find your product market fit soon. Everything, you will be continuously driven by everyone to find your validation at the soonest, at the earliest. But having, I mean, you have to continuously keep trying, which is the second virtue I would say, is this perseverance comes second. But first is you have to be patient. You have to be patient for whatever you are putting in. Then, keeping that patience in mind, you have to be perseverant. You have to keep trying completely, no matter what you see, how many failures come up, how many ways fail. But you, every day you wake up and you are going and doing the same thing again, up and until you find, you see result. So that has to be there, perseverance. Third thing, focus, very much needed. It is very highly, I mean, with, I have worked with MNCs, I know that I have been given a task, this is my role, I have to do that. That focus is set in by the culture, corporate culture, or because of the uh, different departments working, I mean, the level at which you're operating. When you're doing your own business, when you're looking at finance for one day, operations for one day, marketing for another day, technology for another day, it is very likelihood that you will lose focus of your uh, uh, in priorities, what should be your first priority. That should not happen. You have to have that focus on the goal that you have set for yourself. So third would be focus. Fourth is, I would say, I mean, dedication is part of perseverance, but at the same time, dedication towards your vision is what rather I would say, something that you have envisioned. When you got into the market, when you started building solution, you saw that this is probably a very far-fetched thing, and that is why it's a vision. It doesn't matter if it's far-fetched, short-term vision, long-term vision, that a person or a company or any format, it evolves. But that vision has to be crystal clear in one's mind, that if I want to make pain care accessible to all, That is the vision with which we are getting in. Now, to make it accessible, as I said, the problem statements have to be fragmented. You would have multiple layers of that problem to attain that vision. But you cannot change your vision that today I was working on pain care being accessible, and tomorrow you have completely moved out of pain care and you start working on a different vision. The vision has to be clear. You have focused on that vision and you start keep working towards it dedicatedly. And one last thing I would say, which is again, I mean, it's not something that uh, somebody should, the basic value system that you have to understand your customer. You should be empathetic towards their pain. So that is one value. And it's not just about your customer. Empathy is not just what an entrepreneur should have only towards the customer. It has to be towards your team as well, because you also understand that your client wants something today, but eventually it's either you start building it on your own and deliver it, which is not going to be possible if you are looking at a long term goal, if you are trying to build something scalable. So you have to work collectively as a team. So you have to be empathetic towards your team as well. You have to, so that is a virtue which you will see you can apply at every level. Your customers come, your family has to be there. You know that your family is the one which is going to support you all that way through to achieve your goals. You have to have some empathy for them as well. So empathy is something that you have to have for everybody, no matter what. So these are the five virtues which I think an entrepreneur should have if they actually want to see through the, I mean, wait for the results of their hard work and efforts.
Got it. So, Sushman, how has being an entrepreneur changed you as a person?
I mean, Mithil, as a person, when I used to work with companies, corporates, and as when I am there, I know that most of these values which I just now mentioned, like being patient, is one thing which I've only acquired after I became an entrepreneur. Earlier I was also, I wanted immediate results. I wanted to deliver fast, get done with it, move on to something else. And that is that was something that was comfortable for me. I used to work on something and then just, with working on your own project, when you want to see results and you know how much of effort goes into it from every aspect, that is why that is something that I've actually helped me realize importance of everything that goes into building something. So I mean, it's not just about your skill set that you acquire over time, or skills I had acquired over past experience. uh, More, if it is 30% 40% skill, I would still say it's 60% of effort and continuous dedication towards the vision that you're working to, that will eventually take you there. In the short run, obviously, if you are highly skilled, it will help you find solutions to problems much faster. It will help you find ways to tackle challenges that keep coming up faster and sooner. But over time, things organically take shape. So if you are consistent, if you are working towards your goal in the long run, it doesn't matter what your skill set was on day zero. By the day and day 100, if you are at it, I think you would have also acquired that skill. Some people learn slow, some people learn fast, some people can, skills would be acquired, but the attitude which you with which you get into that thing is what will help you acquire. So it could be like, this is something which I can hire somebody to do it, so I don't need to learn it. You might not need to learn it, but there's, you wouldn't see a harm in learning it, because if that you don't have a person one day, you are not dependent on somebody to do that. You know that I can say. So skills and acquiring skills is something that is very easy for an entrepreneur, because they are working with everybody. And once you are working, it not just helps you acquiring skills, but that if you lack that basic mental attitude that I want to keep learning, I want to keep growing, that has to be there. And in the long run, we see that. And so that is also one thing which I think I have very much found fascination. I mean, I am very drawn to this, the fact that I am one of the privileged ones, or very fortunate enough to be able to acquire so many skills which are happening around, only because I have an open mind that I it might be valuable to me, and it is going to be helping me understand the efforts of somebody who is doing it for me in a better way, give them inputs and get a better result. So even with that mindset, it's all about the mindset is what has changed. So it's overall, I can't pinpoint one certain thing, but I think it's overall everything makes a difference. There has been a lot of changes that I've seen.
Got it. So, Sushman, do you really think is there a success portion or a formula to establish a business and become successful in it?
As I mean, a Mithil, success portion could be anything. First, I mean, the one thing which I genuinely believe is you identify a pain point which is a need based. For if somebody is very skilled, they would identify that this is something which is there is a direct demand for it. There's an opportunity. If one has the ability to identify that opportunity and capitalize on that opportunity, that could be a success. And saying that it's not from a success and a generic sense, but in a business sense. And when in a business sense, generally success of a business or a company is, I mean, their overall objective is to maximize their shareholders wealth. That is what the textbook definition is. So that is what I'm basing the success of a business on. That might not be individual goals, that might not be company's long term vision, but share maximizing your shareholders wealth is what a business is being set up for. So there is a magic potion for that, I believe, is if you find that there is an opportunity and you're able to capitalize on it. But identification of the opportunity should not be coming from you alone, it should be coming from the community for which you are identifying that. Like if I see or observe something, I have to immediately validate it and build solution for it. It cannot be that I assumed it to be an opportunity, but there was no, it was just a perceived opportunity. You have to validate it that it's an actual opportunity and you are able to capitalize on it. That is a magic potion which most of the companies today are doing, startups are doing, and which is why we are seeing that quick, rapid, I would say explosive growth which people are talking about. But other than that, it's more or less in the long run, you have to try keep setting things in expectation. But also at the same time, there's also another flip side to it, that that opportunity window was available today. Tomorrow there could be something wherein that opportunity could completely be eradicated. So you'll have to then find a way around it and then build. So you have to be adaptable as well, which was a reason probably Google had seen that growth, that there was a search requirement. But with AI trend setting in and everything, that is where Google is currently losing it out its market on. So there is going to be a time you have for success, definitely, but that is the only magic potion, I think. Other than that, the magic potion is about all the skills, capabilities, efforts, and more mostly about the mindset which an entrepreneur gets into it. So that is the combined effect of that portion. Then you will, anybody will see success is what I see if they are at it for a very long time.
Got it. So, Sushman, before we end this particular episode, what is the message you would like to give to our community members and to the people who are listening to this episode?
Uh, I mean, one message I think, Mithil, for our Indo Canadian community as well as people out there is that it there are two. I mean, there's, I'm sure that most of us have always thought of something that we want to try, and we often, because of our busy life schedules, we also tend to just keep it as, I wanted to do this. Yeah, I think it could be as simple as I wanted to probably have a mm, uh, I want to sell mango shakes, I want to sell lemonade, I want to sell t-shirts, customizable t-shirts. People have often said me, I've often met people who have said, I want to do this, I want to do that. I have also designed some of them, they have sometimes showed. But you don't need, with today's world, if you think you have an opportunity, you should work towards it rather than keeping it as a regret probably later in life. And there is no age. I wouldn't say there is a it will ever stop you. If you think you don't have time because of your commitment, other commitments as of today, you will find time someday. And we are generally wasting it in, I mean, I wouldn't say wasting it, we might be finding some sort of a relaxation, there is some offset. But if you actually think that it is important for you to try out things, then go out of your way and try it. Then don't let any hindrance. There are ample opportunities, there are ample people that you are connected with. You have, even if you don't know anybody, you can just drop somewhere on X, on Instagram, you just post out there, people are willing to come to you and help you out. So just reach out and there'll be somebody would come to you, give you solutions. But don't have that inhibition that how I want to do this and I am unable to do this. So just let's not have that, and just be out there, embrace what everybody is doing, appreciate, celebrate. And if you think that's inspiring, then you should also be out there and doing something to inspire others as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ushman, for taking your valuable time, coming here, sharing your journey, and sharing all the golden nuggets with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mithil, for having me. Have a great day, Mithil.
You too. So you have just listened to I Support Your Business show with your host, Mithil. Thank you so much for listening to our show and giving so much love. Don't forget to subscribe to our show on the podcast platform you are listening. This is Mithil signing off at the moment. Until next time, meet you soon with another member and their exciting story. But until then, keep rocking, stay safe, and don't forget to keep creating content. Ciao.